There are 50 million public school students in this country. When I walk up to them and I say, hey, would you help that kid that's different? You know, that other people won't help. Would you help that kid? That kid that maybe whose daddy's in jail, that kid whose mom has a drug problem, an alcohol problem. Would you help that kid if they were in trouble? Would you? You know what I'm going to say to them? Don't lie to me. Don't tell me you're going to give me everything you got when most of you in here care more about what your friends think, more about what other people are going to do, going to say. You ain't going to jump into action. It's hard. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to help kids that are different. That kid whose daddy's locked up. That kid whose mom has a drug and alcohol problem. That kid who's new to this school. It's hard. It takes a tremendous amount of courage.
All right, students, hopefully you had a great discussion about our friend Nathan or the jumping into action that we did in your school. Hopefully you had a good discussion about that in your circle. And that's the little lesson about creating this environment of hope for other people to feel like they can actually jump into action. But the bigger lesson is on an individual basis, and it's the actually jumping into action. So I talk to kids all over the country and I say, hey, would you help that kid that's different? Most kids will always say, of course I'll help that kid that's different. But in that socially awkward situation, in that challenging situation, when there's a lot of pressure and maybe some people are angry or people are getting their feelings hurt, it's really tough to jump into action and to help someone that's different. And so, Coach, you know a lot about that. I see you train kids all the time to be able to jump into action in those tough situations. How do you do it?
Well, I think, like you said, it's the training and it's the practice. I think it's really important, and we said this early on, you got to understand there's a difference between feeling and thinking and wanting. Of course you're going to want to help someone. Of course you're going to think it's important to help someone, but to go and do that is a whole nother level, and that's why action changes everything. So we really need to drill and practice and take those small steps toward action to make it a habit.
That's right. So now you're going to get into your circles and you're going to get a little bit deeper on this. Get a little bit gritty and talk about why kids actually don't jump into action. It's hard to jump into action, help people that are different, and you want to have a really good discussion and a couple really good questions. Now at this point, you should be starting to ask your own questions on these different topics. So let's get into our circles and let's talk about how difficult, how challenging it is, and why kids don't actually jump into action.